Hey everyone, long time no see. My name is Anna, aka Brookwillow, and today I'm going to show you everything I knit on during my short hiatus here on YouTube. I've had a really nice couple months off from content creation, and I intentionally took that time off because I just wanted to relax and just knit and spin and sew and do whatever I want without really having any kind of agenda to it. And I think because of that, I've been able to relax a bit more and just kind of play around with my knitting. You may notice that I have a lot of colorful items to show off, and I think that's something that happens every single winter for me, maybe because the outside landscape kind of becomes less colorful and I just need a little bit of that dopamine hit with the colors that I'm knitting with. So I guess I'll start out with what I'm wearing today. First of all, I have this wonderful beret on. I'm going to show you the back of it because that's where all of the fun color work is. This is the Smora beret by Gudrun Johnston from the Shetland Trader Volume 3. I made this beret last December, I believe, using Jameson yarn, and right after I made this beret, I chopped my hair off up to my chin, and I found it was quite challenging to wear it, so I didn't really wear it a ton. And then it kind of got put away with all of the rest of my winter stuff, and I just rediscovered it about a week ago. So I'm very happy that it's easier for me to style now that my hair is a little bit longer. I know it's up in pigtail buns right now, but I think that may be the case for all of my beanies, really, because having chin length hair and wearing a beanie just, to me, was challenging to pull off. But yeah, so that's what I'm wearing on my head today. And then my sweater here is the Vestal sweater by Ailbiona MchLochlainn, and I used Jameson of Shetland, Heather Erin. I think that was the yarn I used in the colorway Pippin. This is all going off memory right now. And this is a really nice pattern that kind of has a choose your own adventure style where you can knit the neckline different, the body different, the sleeves different to really tailor it to a fit that you want to wear. And it is something that I definitely want to make again in more of a crew neck style. I actually made this as a turtleneck, but I find that sometimes the edge of the turtleneck just rides up and it doesn't sit down here quite as much as I want to, and I'm sure that's because I probably cast it on a little bit too tight, which is causing it to ride up. So I just flip it down because I find that it lays just a little bit nicer on my neck that way. But I would love to make one that is intentionally a crew neck, and I can kind of knit it to that because I do need quite a bit more staples in my wardrobe, meaning solid colors essentially. I always tend to knit very busy color work or textured type garments, and I don't gravitate towards those quite as much because I feel like if I wore it one week, it'd be pretty obvious that I wore it again the next week. Not that that really matters, but it's nice to have solid sweaters in my closet, and I need convincing of that. So my goal is to make more plain sweaters like this because I do love it, and it is something that I enjoy wearing. So I have a few finished objects, and they all are accessories, and I think the reason why that is because last September rolling into fall, I cast on so many garments, and I was equally working on all of those garments, so it felt like I wasn't really making progress on anything, and I just needed to cast on some accessories to feel like I was accomplishing more, but also because I genuinely wanted them, and winter is really the time to wear hand knit accessories. So the first one that I finished here is this cowl. This is the Cloud Drift cowl by Gudrun Johnston, and it is a beautiful colorwork bandana style cowl, and it combines in the back here, and there's this really unique colorwork pattern throughout. Now within her pattern, I think it's originally designed to alternate between different colors, and they kind of create a fade effect if you put it in a gradient order. I didn't want to do that because I had yarn that I knew exactly that I wanted to use for this, and that is the contrast color changing yarn that you see here. And I spun that up using my supported spindles, so it created a very bouncy woolen spun yarn, and I feel like it really pops out against the cream yarn that I kind of used as a background. And that yarn that I used is Sadness Garn's Double Sunday in the colorway Almond. But I just love the way the color flows through the entire cowl, and I'm really happy that I used a high contrast color with the background and the foreground. I think lately I've been using a lot of low contrast colors, and I haven't been super happy with the outcome, and there's a project coming up that I'll explain that a little bit more later. And so, yeah, with that said, I'm just really pleased with how this one turned out. I did make a little bit of a modification at the end because when I was done knitting this up, it became really, the neckline was like this wide, and I feel like the whole thing just kind of flopped down, and it didn't really serve much of a purpose. Like, it didn't even keep my neck warm because it wasn't up near my neck. And I even tried taking the dogs for a walk wearing this, and it was impossible to keep it over my nose because I was walking them on a very cold day. So what I did was I took the fabric and folded it in on itself, and then I just seamed it down. You can kind of tell on the side here, but not so much on the other side. And then I took and I seamed through the middle of it too, just to tack it down a little bit further. And really you don't notice this so much because it's on the back of my head, and I generally am wearing my hair down when I'm wearing this. But I'm really happy with the outcome of it because it almost is like a turtleneck around my neck now, which is how I really want to be wearing my cobbles, because I want them to cover up at the very least my chin, but I want to be able to pull it over my nose to keep me warm when I'm outside. And yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that I actually wore it as a dickie too. So I layered it underneath another top, and it looked like a really cool color work turtleneck that I just had on underneath without all of the bulk in the arms and everything. So that's just another option for me to style it as well. So can't complain about having several different ways to wear an accessory. I love this so much. I possibly have plans to make another one. I have a lot of fiber in stash that I have several different projects planned for each fiber. So really it depends on what mood I am in to knit once I get it all spun up. But I have a dark chocolate brown that I thought would be really pretty as the background. And then I have a light sky, almost lavendery blue that I thought would be really pretty for the color work portion of it. So we'll see if I ever get around to it. I may not, but it would be a nice option to make this a second time. Staying on the cowl train, I will show you my next finished object, which is the Plump It Up cowl by Andrea Mowry. Or is it Plumped Up? I think it's Plumped Up. And it's the same shape as the Cloud Drift one, and I just really like the shape of this cowl. I like how it kind of comes up and just hugs me around my neck. And the point at the bottom is really nice because it doesn't like bunch up in the rest of my body, and I can kind of tuck it in to whatever I'm wearing or like the jacket that I'm wearing, and it just, I don't know, it kind of feels like it holds everything in place. These are colors that I definitely don't think I normally knit with. Maybe individually, but all together I don't. And I think they're pretty wild for me, but that is just exactly what I needed during this time of year. And I decided to use Spin Cycle's Plump. I had never spun with Spin Cycle, or I've never knit with Spin Cycle, and it's something that I always have wanted to knit with. And I didn't really have the patience to wait for myself to spin up a similar yarn, so I figured why not just splurge a little bit as like a birthday gift for myself, because my birthday was back in December. And Casey from Young Folk Knits was so kind and sent one of the skeins over to me because she had an extra one in her stash that she wasn't using. So I only ended up having to purchase 3 different skeins of it, which definitely helped. And the colors that I used for it is Miss Me, which is this side that has all of the greens and the pinks. And then on the reverse side, because that's another exciting thing about this, is you can fully reverse the cowl, I used Deep Bump. Now, I did have to get a little creative with the Deep Bump because the skein that Spin Cycle sent me was super dark. The whole skein was these dark, moody colors. And then the skein that I got from Casey was really light in color, kind of these lighter teals here. So there would have been a really big contrast if I knit the dark and then just the light here. I definitely didn't want that separation. So I decided to alternate the skeins each time I picked up that contrast color. And I think it did a really nice job blending throughout the cowl. So yeah, this has been a really great cowl to wear. This is the one that I wear on the extra cold days. I think because the yarn is just so thick and full of air, it just traps heat a lot better, and it just feels like a cloud wearing it around my neck. So I had a little bit of that yarn left over, and I'm really trying hard to not have leftover scrap yarn in stash. It's getting almost annoying at this point to me. I really want to mitigate that. So I decided to cast on an accessory that would match the cowl, and I decided I wanted a knit headband. So this is the first one that I made, and I really like this one. I did just the same brioche stitch, so it's also slightly reversible, as you can see. And this one turned out okay. I do think it was like a little bit thinner than I wanted it to be. I wanted to quite significantly cover my ears so it's not sliding around and then my ear gets exposed and really cold. So I wanted it thicker. And then also when I bound off the top of it, I just did a normal bind off, and it was just like a little too tight compared to the bottom, which is a lot stretchier. So it doesn't fit super great. I might give this to one of my nieces. I think it would fit them just fine, and it's definitely colors that they would wear. Thankfully, I still had some Spin Cycle yarn left over after that, and I made another version of the headband, and this one turned out perfect. I, as you can see, made it quite a bit thicker in length, or sorry, I guess in width, maybe? And when I cast it off, I did Jenny's surprisingly stretchy cast off, and it gave it a perfect tension compared to each side. So this fits super well on the head, and I wear the two together all the time, and it just creates a very cute matching set. I self-drafted this pattern. I didn't think it was really necessary to search for a pattern because it seemed pretty simple to me, but I am kind of playing with the idea of making a pattern tutorial video here on YouTube to make this same headband in case you'd be interested in making it as well. So let me know in the comments below if that is something you'd even be interested in seeing and if you want to make something similar. I think this is an awesome project to get rid of scrap yarn that you have laying around. And the nice thing is it uses 2 different colors, so you can have it be reversible, or you can just make it all using the same color if you don't want it. But I don't think it took up very much yarn. I think it was about 50 grams. I actually might go weigh it right now so I can give you an exact amount of yarn that was used for it. I just weighed it and it is 54 grams. So that's like 27 grams per color if you're using 2 colors, or obviously 57 grams if you're using 1 color, which I think is a great scrap busting project. I'm definitely going to be making more of these as I see fit because it also took me like 3 hours to knit. I mean, it helps having the yarn be super plumpy, but I still think it's a quick knit, which would also be nice if you're making gifts for birthdays or holidays or anything for people too, and you just need to kind of whip something out quick. I wore that matching set to my niece's birthday party that was at the beginning of January, and everyone kind of fell in love with the cowl especially, and my dad's girlfriend really loved it. She has a birthday coming up next week, so I decided, she has no idea I'm making this for her, but I decided that I'm going to make her one as well. And I'm not using spin cycle yarn. I'm using a different yarn that I have never even heard of before, but it's really pretty. I picked it up at my local yarn shop, which is Darn It Anyway in Stillwater, Minnesota. I'll show you the cowl first. So here is one side of it. I'm not done knitting it yet. I actually ran out of yarn, so I have to go get more. And then here is the other side. They have colors that are similar between each skein, but one is like a slightly darker, moodier version and one's a brighter version, so she can kind of flip it to whatever side she's feeling or whatever goes with her outfit the best that day. This yarn is quite a bit different in the fact that it is single spun. It's almost an unspun yarn, but there is a slight twist to it. And it's almost thicker than the plump yarn used in the original version that I made. So the yarn that this is Laine du Nord, which is made in Italy. That's the brand. And I think the yarn itself is young and trendy. The color I used for the dark moody side is taupe teal. And then the other side is ecru denim, I think. The name got cut off from the tag. Like I said, I ran out with not much further to go. I really hope they're still in stock because there was only like a couple skeins of this left when I went and picked it up, which was a week ago. I'm going to try to go there tomorrow morning to see and hope that they have it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to search for it online, but we'll see if it gets to that. But I think that just means I'm going to have quite a bit left over, which then it means I can make more of these. I'm not sure if I will make the headband for my dad's girlfriend or if I'll keep it for myself or what I'll do with it. We will find out eventually. So yeah, been in a big, colorful cowl mood lately because I just wear them so much, so why not? Moving on, I just cast or bound off a pair of socks last night that I've been working on. I will say I don't really have many knitting goals for this year. The only one that I have is I'm going to try to knit a pair of socks every month. And one of the reasons why is because I feel like I can never have enough socks. And I eventually want to get to a place where all of my socks are just 100% handmade, except for maybe a couple technical socks that I wear for mountain biking. I don't really want to wear hand knit socks for mountain biking. But yeah, I also have a ton of stock yarn in stash. That's like mainly what I have in stash. And so I think it's time to finally just actively work through that. So I'll show you these socks here. They are a beautiful cable knit sock, top down, with a heel flap and gusset. And the heel flap is just extending that beautiful cable knit pattern down it. I suddenly had the biggest urge to knit a fisherman style cable knit sweater. I think part of that reason is because for my birthday this year, a few of my family members and Mitch and his parents all kind of gave me the funds needed to get fly fishing gear. I live in an area with a lot of rivers and creeks, and I have tried fly fishing before and I really loved it. And so it's something that I kind of want to actively pursue. And I almost have everything. I just need my rod, which is on order, and I think Mitch and I are going to go next weekend. And I have this vision of myself out in the river with my waders on, wearing a fisherman's cable knit sweater. And I just could not get that vision out of my head, but I am nowhere in a place to cast on another sweater because I have a lot on the needles currently. So I figured knitting a pair of socks would kind of satisfy that need for now. Not that I would wear these while fly fishing. I think they're just a little bit too pretty and nice, but I am very happy with how these turned out, and now I want to knit a lot more cable knit socks. The pattern I used for this is from Lane's 52 Weeks of Socks, Volume 2. And this would be another submission into the Brook Club Cowl that is still on. It ends January 31st. I do have the prizes for it already, and I'll talk about those in a little bit. But the pattern that I knit from it is called... what is this called? Aurora by Heli Najavaara. And this sock yarn that I used is from Woolen Twine. I purchased a skein from her shop update this fall, and it's the Ovis sock. I believe in the colorway Dune. I misplaced the label, but I'm pretty certain that's the colorway. And I think this is like maybe one of my favorite sock yarns I've ever knit with. It is so bouncy and woolen, and I thought it was just the perfect yarn to use for cable knit too. It really makes the cables stand out quite a bit. I'm definitely going to be getting more of this sock base in the future, and I do have quite a bit of it left over, and my plan is to kind of accumulate all of the leftovers and make a colorwork pattern sock with the leftovers of the Ovis sock that I use for this. Now, there's no nylon or anything in this sock yarn, but to this day, I wear my socks hard, and I'm not easy on them at all, and none of them have created a hole at all, and some of them I don't even think have nylon content in it. But even if it does get a hole in the heel, I think it'll be a really nice opportunity to do some cool visible mending on the heels. I love the way that looks, and I think it's just adds more character to whatever the item is that is mended. So if it gets a hole, it's not going to be the end of the world because I'll still be able to wear them and mend them as time goes on. After casting those socks off, I really wanted to cast on a new pair. I held off because I need to work on some existing projects, but I do have a plan for socks that I'm going to knit next. Now, I signed up I try to do one type of club a year. 2 years ago, I did a fiber club from Hello Yarn. Last year, I did a fiber club from Lavender Loom, where they send you fiber every month to spin. And now I have enough fiber to last a while, and I wanted to try something different. And I've always been intrigued by the Sock Squad club from Farmer's Daughter's Fiber, and that is another yarn that I haven't really knit with, and so I wanted to try out their yarn, and I thought this was like a really nice way to do that. And so I got the first month, which was January's colorway. Here it is. I think it's so pretty. I love these kind of terracotta colors, and I think this contrast color is the perfect contrast color to go with this yarn. This specific yarn is their Elkhorn sock, which is 80% superwash Punta Arenas Merino and 20% nylon. I knew with this sock yarn, I didn't want to knit just a plain vanilla sock. I'm really trying to have all sorts of different types of socks. I wanted to do a similar construction with this, where you have a textured pattern and it kind of goes down the heel flap as well, but with a different pattern. So last February for Valentine's Day, my girlfriends and I did a like secret Cupid exchange, I guess, where we drew names and had to buy gifts for each other. That's how it works. But the rule was it all had to be thrifted or antiqued, all secondhand or handmade. And my best friend Elena got me several different things, but one of the things she got me was this charted knitting designs book. And this book, let's see when it was made. It was made in 1972, and it is a wonderful resource. I really dug deep into it last night, and it really inspired me to make all sorts of things. It's sorted by texture designs and colorwork designs, and there's one, I had just this idea in my head. I wanted it to be kind of like a braided stitch going vertical down the sock, and I found the perfect stitch for it. So I'm going to show it to you. It's in black and white, so I hope you can see it okay. But it's this bottom stitch here. Ignore this top part. This bottom stitch is what I plan to knit for the sock. The specific name of the stitch is the elongated stitch herringbone. And I thought that would be a really cool way to have a textured or patterned sock without it being too much, because this is color changing yarn. I didn't want it to mesh and get kind of lost in the pattern. I wanted to still see the pattern through the sock. And I thought with something as consistent and more solid like that pattern, this would be kind of a cool combo with it. So that is my plan for the next socks that I'm going to knit, and I'm trying not to cast it on because, like I said, I have too many garments, but I feel like I should always have a pair of socks on the needles, right? So we'll see. Maybe I'll cast on, maybe I won't right away. I kind of want to. I probably will. But yeah, that's my plan for the next socks that I'm going to knit, and the hope is to finish them sometime in February to continue my one sock a month goal for 2025. I have 3 more projects to show you. This next one is one that I've been actively working on and focusing on the most. I had to pause because I ran out of yarn. There is more on the way. You may or may not remember, but last year I was a Bluesky maker for 2024, and basically what that means is they provided yarn for me to knit 2 projects, and I ended up actually getting yarn for 3 projects. The other one has been just set aside for now because it's another summer knit, and I'm just going to revisit it probably this spring. But this year I applied again and I got accepted into it for 2025. They've been a really lovely brand to partner with, and I'm just having a really good experience with it, and I like being able to try out their different yarn bases. So for this year, my first project I'm working on is the Norma sweater by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I saw this and I fell in love with the pattern, like so many others have. It's a very popular pattern right now, and I'm really happy with it. So it's a top-down pattern raglan, and come to think of it, I know this might sound kind of crazy. I don't know if I've ever actually knit a raglan sweater. I think everything has been like bottom up or drop shoulder or like a round yoke, but this might be the first raglan that I knit. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's nice to try up different styles, and I think this one's going to fit very lovely. I am knitting a size 5, which tends to be the size that I knit for most sweaters. And I just really like this color work. I'm going to show it up a little bit closer. It's like stripes with a little bit of flair to it. I like these little nodules that are coming up from the stripes. The yarn that I'm using obviously is from Bluesky Fiber, and it's their Techno yarn, which is, it's a light chunky weight yarn, and the content of it is 68% baby alpaca, 22% silk, and 10% extra fine merino. It is so unbelievably soft. This is definitely going to be a cozy up sweater, or if I'm having a really bad day, like this is the sweater that I put on because I know it's going to make me feel comfy and nice and warm. It took 3 tries to get this color combo, when I always knew that I wanted this sandy base to be the background and the white stripes to be the stripy part. Originally though, I was going to do yellow for the little nodule bits, and I knitted up. I didn't swatch. This was a good lesson in swatching, but I didn't swatch. And when I knitted up, I got 1 stripe in, and the yellow blended so much in with the tan that it just looked like a tan and white stripe sweater. And I couldn't have that, because one of my favorite parts about it were just these little bits on the stripes, and it kind of fully defeat the purpose. And so I ended up buying this kind of army green khaki color online and reknitted it again, and I did the green with yellow stripes, and it was a cute combination. However, it looked like Packers colors, which normally probably wouldn't be an issue, but I do live in Wisconsin, so I feel like it would be taken as Packer fandom sweater. And not that it matters, I'm a Vikings fan. I don't mind the Packers. I came from a split household of Packers and Vikings, but I am a Vikings fan. But more of the issue is I didn't want people to think that I'm wearing a Packers sweater. So I tore it out again, and I decided to go back to the white stripes for the stripe section with the green. And I think it turned out very nice, and I'm very happy with this color combination. So this is where I'm at. I am trying a new technique. I don't even know if I can call it a technique, but I want to get away from the whole sleeve island stigma, so I decided that I'm going to knit a section of stripes on each side of the sleeves at a time. So I do a section on this side, and then I do a section on this side. The nice thing is I am using interchangeable needles, so I can just screw off the needles on one side and then reattach them on this side, and it's really not that big of a deal. And by the end of it, I won't have a whole other sleeve to knit again. They'll just both be done. But like I said, I had to pause because I ran out of the sandy beigey tan yarn here, and I'm just waiting for that to come in the mail. It should arrive any day now, and I should have a completed sweater pretty soon. My next project is another accessory, and I knew I wanted to work with this yellow techno yarn right away from Bluesky fiber because I thought I could make a really cute accessory to pair with the sweater, because I was really excited about using this yellow yarn and I want to be able to wear it this spring. I lately have been obsessed with the whole knit bandana trend, to either tie around your neck or wear it as like a little head wrap. Not that that's super practical, but it looks really cute. And I thought it would be cute to make a knit bandana that I could pair with this sweater, so I can still get the yellow hint in with it. And obviously I don't have to wear it with it, but it would be cute together without looking too Green Bay Packers. So I decided to just cast on a bandana. I'm not using any kind of pattern or anything. And this is how far I am with this iteration. This is the second time actually that I cast it on. The first time that I cast it on, it was going to be a double folded bandana, and I cast it on with like too small of needles. So the gauge was really tight, creating a stiff fabric, and I just didn't like it. I wanted it to lay a little bit nicer. And so I recast it on with like US 8, I believe. Yes, with US 8 needles. And I'm making it so it'll just be a single layer bandana now. And I have 2 skeins of this yarn. My intention is to just knit and keep increasing until I finish the first skein, and then I'm just gonna knit until I'm gonna decrease with the second skein. And it's gonna be somewhat of a zero waste knitting pattern because, again, I am just so over scraps of yarn in my stash. So I think this will be a cool way to use up skeins of yarn that maybe you have no idea, that I have no idea what to make with it, or like hand spun skeins, who knows. But I think I'm gonna get so much wear out of this. I have a bandana that I knit in a lacy pattern from the Shetland Trader book. It's the Snarness bandana, I believe. And I wear that thing like 3 times a week. It is the perfect accessory to add on to an outfit. Sometimes when I wear something that's just plain like this, I feel like I need some type of layer on top of it. And a lot of times a vest won't do because the arms are like too tight and it's like tighter than the sweater and I just feel constricted, but I still just need something. Or a shawl might just be a little too cumbersome, but just wearing a little bandana that's knit like right here adds that perfect layer that I need. It's kind of like wearing a necklace, but just a little bit more substantial, and I can't get enough of it. I want to make so many of them in all sorts of colors, so I just can be the scarf lady. So yeah, I'm really excited. I want to finish this pretty quick. This is a perfect project to bring to social events because it requires no thinking at all. And it's also been a project that I've just been keeping in my purse. So if I have a little time in a parking lot or something, I can work a few rows in. So sometimes it makes it go by slow if I'm not just constantly working on it, but it is just that nice, easy little project to have on hand. So yeah, I'm loving this one so far, and I think I'm mostly really excited for the product of it. There's one more sweater project that I want to show you because it is one that I've been working on quite a bit, and it's the Aureliano sweater by Claudia Quintanilla from the Memory Lane book that she released this fall. And I got quite a bit of ways, so I got the body all done, and now I am on to the sleeves, which hopefully will go by faster, and I'll be able to wear it soon here. This has been taking so long, and I feel like it defeated me a little bit, but I had to remind myself I am essentially knitting with lace weight yarn. It's Mohair yarn held double, and that's why it's taking so long to knit. So it was really nice to knit on the previous sweater because that is just working up so quick, being a light, chunky weight sweater. But yeah, this is taking a long time, but it sure is beautiful because here is the pattern up close. And I know I'm gonna really love wearing this one quite a bit. My original goal was to have it done by Halloween, and then I pushed it to Thanksgiving, and now I'm not even setting a deadline for this. I'm just gonna knit on it when I see fit, but I sure would like to have it done soon. As a reminder, I am knitting it using Ito Sensei yarn, which is a mohair that I've never worked with before, but if a project calls for a mohair in the future, this is definitely a contender. I think it's just as nice as the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk mohair, if I'm being completely honest. It feels like I'm knitting the same thing. But yeah, I think this is a really cool one. This is a round yoke sweater, which I think is the first round yoke sweater that I may have knit. No, that's not true. I've knit other round yoke sweaters, but I think a blocking is going to do a lot for this. I'm a little worried about it not fitting in the shoulders, but we'll see what happens. I haven't even tried it on yet, but I think I might wait to block it before I freak out about it, because I think it'll bloom quite a bit once it gets a nice little bath. But yeah, this is just something I've been working on. I don't have much to say about it because I've talked about it in videos past. On the note of memory lane, I did want to talk about some prizes for the Brook Club Cowl. That's a hard one to say. I thought it would only be appropriate for the prizes to be knitting books to give away, because now that we're all on the train of knitting from books, why not have more books to knit from? So there's going to be 2 prizes, and I am not going to announce it in the comments because spam and bots, so don't pay attention to any of them. Only pay attention to what I'm saying. And there's 2 ways to enter for a prize. You can either do it on Instagram using the hashtag BrookClubCal, or in the Discord chat that I will link in the description below. There's a finished objects section where people are posting their finished works, and that will be where the second prize is. And so I will be announcing one of the prizes on Instagram and the other prize in the Discord chat. So again, if it's not coming from me directly, my Instagram account or my Discord handle, it's not real. So one of the prizes is another copy of Memory Lane by Claudia Quintanilla. There's a ton of beautiful patterns in here that I think whoever the winner is will really enjoy. And the second prize is another book, which is Arctic Knits by Waikyun Chan, aka the Petite Knitter. There is a lot of really cool patterns in here. I'm actually pretty jealous of whoever the winner is. I think I'm going to want to keep this for myself, but I won't. I'll be fair and send it to the winner. So that's something to pay attention to in the next couple of weeks. I'll probably announce it soon after the 31st so it doesn't get away. And yeah. Other than that, like I said, I've just been really in the mood of relaxing. I think I got super overwhelmed this holiday season. It just felt super rushed, and I did lose my grandpa this December too, which is really sad because that was kind of my last grandparent, and just losing anybody during the holidays is really challenging and tough, but he was an amazing man. He was 98 years old, and he was such a respectful man, and I feel really happy that I got to grow up with him. And yeah, so after the holidays, I'm like, you know what? I just need to take a break. I just want to hang out and have easy times with my friends and family and just like not have to do anything. I've been meeting one of my best friends, Elena, every Friday. We've been meeting to knit at like a coffee shop because she has Fridays off too, and that's been really nice. And like I said, I'm going to start fly fishing here soon. The fishing opener was in January for fly fishing, so it is something that we will do in the winter here. I'm more excited about just being in the beautiful scenery of it all than maybe the fishing itself. I know that's kind of silly, but yeah, I'm excited. I grew up fishing as a kid and from my dad's boat, but not a ton of fly fishing. We haven't been getting enough snow for skiing, so that's the other kind of reason why I wanted to do fly fishing as like a backup outdoor winter activity, because I still need to get out and be in the sun and enjoy winter. I also am in a bird club, and we meet monthly, and that's really nice to just walk around with my bird friends. And I'm not a really good birder. I'm just kind of along for the ride. Everyone just kind of tells me what everything is, and I just soak it all in and don't retain a ton of information, but I still really like being out there with them all. And yeah, so I've just been trying to take it real slow this winter, and I think it's been really nice for me. I hope you have been having a really good winter as well. I would love to know what your favorite winter activity is that you do, because I'm always open to all sorts of ideas. I always want to take on new hobbies that I never have time for. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you again for watching and following along for these videos. It's been nice to kind of just sit down and chat with you all about what I've been working on. And if you like what you see here and you aren't already subscribed, consider subscribing below and you won't miss out on any future content. And if this is a style video that you like, please hit the thumbs up, and that lets me know what kind of content you really like to see. Also, if you ever have any ideas of type of content that you would be interested in seeing from me, never hesitate to let me know in the comments below. I have received so many amazing ideas from you all in the past, and sometimes I just run out of ideas of what to make, but yeah, I don't know. I hope you all have a good rest of your week, and we will chat next time. Bye-bye.
If only I could finish something, run straight through to the end, close a chapter dignified. Girl, you did it again. But will it ever be enough when I'm bent on trying to keep it tough?